Well, that is a very important message, especially to those of you who are interested in being a part of WHRI, World Harvest Radio International, in the way of a teaching or some other kind of a program. With me right now is Doug Garlinger, our chief engineer here at WHRI. And Doug, real nice to be with you tonight.
Well, it's good to be here with you, Craig. And of course, this is a wonderful evening for us here with Angel 2 being on for the first time. Our equipment test period ended officially at 8 p.m. this evening. So now we're going both ways, both to Europe and South America at the same time.
That has to be a real special feeling for you. You've labored long and hard at putting both of these on the air, and boy, just a few hours ago we turned that switch and voila.
Well, as Dr. Summerall said last night, this is something that I had sort of had a dream of doing even when I was about 8 or 9 years old and heard my first shortwave radio broadcasts. I lived in the east central part of the state of Indiana in the vicinity of Winchester and Ridgeville, and that's the first time that I heard HCJB, which is a very powerful broadcaster in those times and even still today, and that lit the fire in me. And ultimately, when I came to work for LaCie and I had this desire to build a shortwave station, it just fit in perfectly with the plans that Dr. Summerall had, and it all became a reality. It's been truly a miracle in that regard.
When you first came to LaCie, did you have any inkling that we'd be here today?
Absolutely none whatsoever. I had worked for LaCie about 5 years at that time, and I had no idea that Dr. Summerall had an interest in shortwave. And it was just through a casual, accidental conversation with Pete Summerall, who's the general manager, that the topic came up, and there was such interest, and before long we were actively pursuing this. And of course, here we are now with 2 transmitters, 2 antennas, and hopes in the future perhaps to add another antenna.
We will talk about that in just a moment, but part of your job, Doug, not only getting this thing going here, and part of it is also going through the mail here, and we've got a table full of mail, and Doug, tell us a little bit about this stack here.
Well, we get a lot of mail here. Most of it comes to South Bend first to be processed if there's questions and inquiries on the ministry side, if somebody has a special prayer request or things like that. Then ultimately the mail makes its way down here to Indianapolis, where we go through it and we send out what we call a QSL card. A lot of these reception reports will tell what time of day that they heard us and what our signal quality was like, and a lot of shortwave listeners know that that's the kind of information that engineering departments at shortwave stations need. So they send us these reports because they collect these cards, and some people send us reports every week. We have a fellow, for instance, in New Zealand that regularly sends us reports. And all of this helps us to evaluate what frequencies will be best for us to use. And, of course, different frequencies are needed to get to different parts of the world at different times of the day. And you can see we have reached nearly 100 countries have responded to us with mail. And it's just been an amazing thing to have this kind of response come back to us.
All right, Doug, this is exciting. I'm getting charged up here. Right now, we're operating off of this antenna system. Hopefully, within the near future, we'll be working off a curtain antenna, at least in part. Tell us briefly a little bit more about that.
Basically, right now, we're on these 2 antennas, which are the 527 log periodics that one pointed towards South America and one pointed towards Europe. And that puts out just a little over 4 million watts. And we have a concern that in the future it may not be so easy to get more shortwave licenses. This could be something that the government would eventually shut down because of lack of frequencies available. So new entrants into the shortwave broadcasting community in the United States might not be able to get a license like we have. So we're considering the fact that perhaps we should move forward with our plans on the shortwave. And one of the things we want to do is add this large antenna, this 611 curtain, and it would transmit with the same transmitter a little more than 10 million watts, just the one antenna. It would have a narrower beam, and it could be positioned electronically in 5 different directions. We could point it towards Moscow if we wanted to cover western Russia, or we could point it towards Johannesburg if we wanted to cover western Africa and South Africa, and we could also zero in several areas in between. It would actually cover a smaller area at any given time, but the signal strength at that location would be stronger. So that's one of the things we're looking forward to right now for the future as well.
So we could actually bombard certain areas of the world if we wanted to.
Well, the compass direction to Moscow from Noblesville is 29 degrees, and we could zero right in on Moscow on the hours that we wanted to.
Great. Doug Garlinger, our chief engineer, and a very important man here at the shortwave site.